Hi everybody, this is Joyce, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the ego. But before I get into that, I want to remind everybody to share this video, to like, and to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I do daily tarot readings during the week, and on the weekends I talk about various different subjects like this. So, my definition of what the ego is it is what helps us to get what we need, and it helps us to survive, and it protects us. That's the job of the ego, to protect and to make sure that we get what we need. And given that definition, the ego is not really a bad thing. I think sometimes the ego gets a bad rap, that it is something that we should get rid of, but we need our ego. The ego is a function of the mind. It is part of the intellect. And I think that's something that people don't always think about. They think, oh, the ego is an emotional thing. It's something that comes from being angry or scared or something like that. But actually, I think it is the mind interpreting what we think. I'm sorry, the mind interpreting what we feel and giving us a meaning for what we do. For instance, if we put our hand to the fire and it hurts, that is a feeling of the body. For instance, it's pain, but we need the brain to actually process that pain and make it mean something. We can feel pain all the time. We can keep putting our hands to the fire and ouch, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. But it is the brain that actually processes that feeling, that sensation, and says, okay, it's not a pleasant feeling. We don't want to feel that again. So we have to learn that every time you do something like put your hand to the fire, it's going to hurt. So therefore, we have to learn not to do that anymore. That's a brain process. It's not a gut feeling. Because if we did not have the brain process, we would keep doing things over and over and over because we're not attaching a meaning to that. So that is, a function of the ego telling us, okay, it's protecting us from feeling pain. And that is physical pain, but also the ego protects us from emotional pain. If we constantly get a certain reaction when we behave a certain way with someone, let's say that it could be anybody, you go up to them and you want to give them a hug, and they're constantly pushing you away or saying no, they're not receptive to you giving them a hug, then you're not going to do that anymore because you feel hurt. If you really feel love for somebody and they're pushing you away, that makes you feel sad. And your brain is the one that gives that a meaning, saying, okay, you feel sad and you don't like to feel sad, so therefore with this particular person you're not going to continue to give them a hug because they don't like it and you don't want to feel the pain of them rejecting you. So that's an example. And I also said that the ego helps us to get what we need. And I think what we need above all else is love. That's what we need. The ego tries to get us what we need, which is love, and it processes and computes what it is that is going to give us that love. It gives us the formula, and that is based on observing how people react, what people say when we do certain things, putting that into the brain, processing it, and coming out with the solution of what to do in order to get a better response. And so the thing is that as kids, as children, as babies, as early as, as that, we start to feel and see what it is that gets us love. And that's from our parents. And if we are discouraged from doing certain things, and we don't do them because we want to have that approval from the parent, right? If parents says, oh, be a good girl and be quiet, or be a good boy and sit down, stop making so much noise, you do that because you want to get the love of your parent. And if your parent wants you to be quiet, then you will sit down and be quiet. Or you're going to be a good girl and not talk, or whatever the thing is that at that moment. The human brain is so complex, and human interaction is so complex. The ego has to develop in a certain way that is very sophisticated. So it's one thing to say, okay, this behavior and that behavior, gets me praise, and this behavior gets me in trouble. That's one aspect of it. But the other aspect is that instead of going on an action by action basis, let me develop an entire personality to get me the best results. So it's not that, okay, this situation, that situation. It becomes a whole complex where the ego develops as a personality, so that it takes all the things that it has learned about what's good behavior and what's bad behavior, puts that into one package, and you call that Joyce, or you call that your name, right? That is who you are. You are this personality, and it's based on what you have learned is good and what is bad, and it's all put together into such a point where you don't really have to think about it. It's habit, and this is how you behave. So if you have learned that it's better to show confidence all the time and not show weakness, because if you show weakness, you're going to get beat up by people, or you're going to get bullied, or people just look at you poorly if you show that you're imperfect in some way. Then you developed a personality where you'd never show that. Okay, and taking it to the extreme, just for an example, you can develop what we normally think of when we think of someone having a big ego. They never say anything that's going to put themselves in a bad light. They may even put other people down in order to make themselves look better. And that is their big personality. That's who they are. That's what they do. It also could come out in good ways where, they're gregarious, they talk a lot, they have a big sense of humor, they know how to flatter people, that type of thing. But if something happens that may make them look less than perfect, then that makes them angry. They don't want to accept that as part of themselves. So that's what we call a big ego. And however, some people develop what they call like a really people pleasing kind of personality, and they find that is what makes them lovable to the world, right? They say yes all the time, even though they may really not want to do things, but they do it because, they have to always be nice. And, people don't think of that as being an ego, but that is an ego. That, by the definition that I gave, the ego is the part of us that make sure that we're protected and that we get what we need. And if that means that we're super, super confident, or, overly confident, or whether we're more humble, people pleasing and saying yes all the time. Both of those are a function of the ego. And, which is not to say that being nice isn't a good thing and that being confident is a bad thing. But the goal is for that to be authentic. To be authentically confident, to be authentically confident, to love yourself, because a lot of times the ego is based on wanting other people to accept and like us, rather than us loving ourselves and being confident within ourselves that what we're doing is right, because that is what we want to do. What mask are you putting onto the world in order to feel accepted and loved? And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be loved, that is what we're here for. We're here in this world to be loved. So, but you want to be loved authentically for yourself, not to put on a mask in order to please other people. I think a lot of us have the capacity, especially if you're watching this video, you have the capacity to love everyone, and you may not always feel the love coming back to you, but eventually you realize that is not necessarily something that you're doing wrong. It's just that we all are trying our best, and we all are getting to the point where we can be loving towards others, and people are working on it in their respect, and you're working on it in yours. And if someone is not to the point where they can love you for who you are, that's not your fault. Other people may not react to you the way you would like them to, and it's okay. There are lots of people who do and who will love you as you are. So, you know what? I have to learn how to place this camera, in a way where you can see where I'm shuffling. And, yeah, as I grow this channel, I will definitely try to play around with different cameras, and different angles, so that you can see me shuffling. And but in the meantime, we got this. And I just want to pull one more card to give any more insight from the universe about the ego. And the card we have, oh my goodness, is the Eight of Cups. So this card shows someone who is walking away from their what they have built up emotionally. And the figure in the picture is walking away, saying that, okay, I need to re-examine what I consider myself to be, and to adjust accordingly. Is it really satisfying me? Is my ego, is what I present to the world who I really am? So I need to take a step away, think about it, and create a new reality of who I am based on being more authentic. So, put down. So, the advice here is really to put away what you think you are, unless it is coming from unless it's coming from a place of authenticity. Be authentic, be who you are, walk away from things that don't serve you anymore. and walk toward your true self. So I hope that resonates with you. I hope you enjoyed that. Have a great full moon, and I will talk to you again soon.